إذا وقعت الواقعة ليس لوقعتها كاذبة خافضة رافعة إذا رجت الأرض رجا بست الجبال بسا فكانت هباء وكنتم أزواجا ثلاثة فأصحاب الميمنة ما أصحاب الميمنة وأصحاب المشأمة ما أصحاب المشأمة والسابقون السابقون أولئك المقربون في جنات النعيم ثلة من الأولين وقليل من الآخرين على
الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن سيدنا محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعهم إلى يوم الدين. If you look to Surah Al-Waqiah, you find out actually it focuses in the emphasis on the certainty of the hereafter, and then on the ultimate destiny of all of the individual. And obviously this is determined by their faith and their deeds. And the surah contrasts those people who are going to paradise versus those people who are going to distance for hell. And the surah opens by this inevitable event, in the clear event that will happen. You cannot deny it. And this is the day of judgment. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala started, إِذَا وَقَعَتِ الْوَاقِعَةِ, when the imminent events happen. And this is referring to the judgment. لَيْسَ لِوَقَعَتِهَا كَاذِبَةٌ, there can be no denial for its occurrence. You cannot deny that it will happen. خافضة رافعة, and that's why some people will be, some people will be exalted and some people will be abased. Some people lower some people and lift some people. And the sign and some of the features on it is إذا رجت الأرض رجا وبست الجبال بسا فكانت هباء منبثا. And in that day the earth will be shaken with a shock and the mountain will be crumbled and they will become scattered particle. وَكُنْتُمْ أَزْوَاجًا ثَلَاثًا, and on that day you will be divided into three groups. So you can translate it three kinds, through categories, three classes. So every one of us, every human being will be classified in one of these three groups in it. I made the point to read that the أزواجًا ثلاثة because if you look in Arabic, if the number comes after the counted number, you always say, 5 people. You don't say people 5, So here it comes أزواجًا, classes, 3. So the number came after the counted noun. The counted noun is أزواجًا, the noun is أزواجًا, and the number comes after it, ثلاثًا is 3. That directly increased, that's only going to be 3. There will be no other than 3. So everyone will have to be put in one of these groups. And then if you do it the other way around, if you did ثلاثة أزواج, then it could be more than 3 in that regard. So that means there is only 3. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spells out who are these 3 groups and which one you are going to be in them. The first one, as-sabiqeen, the foremost. And these are the elite ones. And then the second one, Allah calls Ashabul Yameen, the people of the companion of the right. And these are the general, all the believer together. And then there is other, obviously, there. So these 2 will be destined for paradise. As-Sabiqun and Ashabul Yameen. The other one, the Ashabul Shimal, or the companion of the left, these are the disbeliever and the wrongdoers in this regard. Now, so the question I have for you, and let's see here. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala started describing these, the question, I'll do it later. Then describe what is this Ashab al-Yamin, what is this foremost, the Sabiqeen, And who are those, the companion of the right, Ashab al-Yamin? Obviously, the Ashab al-Shimal, the people who are going to hell, this will be separate. But what unique about the first one and the second one? So the first one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say this, as-sabiqun. He said, وَالسَّابِقُونَ السَّابِقُونَ أُولَٰئِكَ الْمُقَرَّبُونَ فِي جَنَّاتِ النَّعِيمِ ثُلَّةٌ مِّنَ الْأَوَّلِينَ وَقَلِيلٌ مِّنَ الْآخِرِينَ. So, and the foremost shall be the foremost. They are the one who are nearer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you think that those will be in the Firdaus al-A'la, near to Allah. In gardens of bliss, and then Allah say, many from the first generation, ثُلَّةٌ مِّنَ الْأَوَّلِينَ وَقَلِيلٌ مِّنَ الْآخِرِينَ, and the few from the later generations. So the majority of the people who comes after the first generation will be missing this position here. Then the second group comes in, which Ashabul Yamin. وَأَصْحَابُ الْيَمِينِ مَا أَصْحَابُ الْيَمِينِ. That, and the people of the right, how fortunate the people of the right. These two groups will go to paradise, which is, something we all aspire to. But now there is two ranks in paradise. في سدر, then Allah described some of the things they will have. في سدر مخضود وطلح منضود وظل ممدود وماء مسكوب فكم كثيرة لمقطوعة ممنوعة. There is so many other verses you can read it. So Allah described what is those people, Ashab al-Yamin, will be having paradise. They will be amid in sorless tree, clusters of plantation, extended shade, flowing water, abundant fruit, never out of season nor forbidden. But then at the end of it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes ثُلَّةٌ مِّنَ الْأَوَّلِينَ وَقَلِيلٌ مِّنَ وَثُلَّةٌ مِّنَ الْآخِرِينَ. Sorry. Many of the first generation and many of the later generations. So in the first one, the as-sabiqun, there is going to be many from the first and a few from the later generations, which later generation is us. And then, but for Ashab al-Yamin, there will be many of them also and many of us. So that is the differences between the two. Then comes in the third group, which we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, none of us will be among them, and these are Ashab al-Shimal, the wrongdoers. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and the disbelievers, وَأَصْحَابُ الشِّمَالِ مَا أَصْحَابُ الشِّمَالِ, and the people of the left, how miserable are the people of the left. في سموم وحميم وظل من يحموم لا بارد ولا كريم إنهم كانوا قبل ذلك مترفين وكانوا يصرون على الحنث العظيم وكانوا يقولون إذا متنا وكنا ترابا وعظاما أين لمبعوثون. They will have, so what is this miserable people that's going to be on the left? They will be in a scorching wind and boiling water and the shade of black smoke, neither cool nor refreshing. They were indulging in luxuries before this, So a taraf in the dunya, this, indulging in luxury in this life is not something positive in this regard. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described those people that's what they were doing. They were indulging in luxuries before this. And they resisted in major sins. And this is critical part actually, that most of the people who disbelieve and wrongdoer always claim this. And they used to say, when we are dead and reduced to dust and bones, will we really be resurrected? So denying the resurrection. That's why you find, if you find Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always say, you believe, aminu billahi, and something. And you find out it's always two things that Allah emphasized, that you believe in Allah and the other things. It's always believe in Allah and the Yawm al-Akhir, the day of judgment. Believe in Allah and the day of judgment. And the other one, believe in Allah and the messenger. Aminu billahi wa rasul, aminu billahi wa rasul. So you find out actually the fundamental article of belief in Islam are three. Believe in Allah, believe in the day of judgment, and believe in the messenger. And if you do this, the rest of them comes. Because if there is messenger, there must be books. So there you already believe in books. And if there is going to be, accountability, there must be somebody recording this, your record. Then there must be somebody recording, and that will be the angels in this case. So now a question really for you. We talked about these two groups, السابقون and then وأصحاب اليمين مع أصحاب اليمين. is there is ayah in the surah in the Quran that describe what each one will get. Because there is another surah that describe rewards for two kind of people. And this is in Surah Al-Rahman. Surah Al-Rahman. Surah Al-Rahman comes to talk about, and in fact, I asked the kids in the Fajr Club one before. I said, read these two, because in Surah Al-Rahman, go and read it from verse 46 to 77. It described that Allah will give one group two gardens, and then there's another group will get two gardens too. But you look at the description of the first group, the garden that the first group gets, and the second, and the garden, the two garden that the second group gets. So the first group, obviously these are as-sabiqun, and the second group is Ashabul al-Yamin. So the two surahs, Rahman comes before Al-Waqiah, and two are linked together regarding the description, give a little bit more description than just to make a statement with this. So now we come, then Allah subhanahu, because people will disbelieve, then Allah subhanahu have to challenge them. Those who disbelieve in the hereafter. He said, why are you rejecting? Who are you? Who are you to reject the message of Allah subhanahu? So Allah subhanahu say, what are we created from? You making so arrogant in this life and decreeing everything and rejecting every command I gave you. But look at where you came from. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, نَحْنُ خَلَقْنَاكُمْ فَلَوْلَا تُصَدِّقُونَ. We have created you. Don't you believe this? You know. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes this subtlety. أَفَرَأَيْتُمْ مَا تُمْنُونَ أَأَنْتُمْ تخلقونه أَمْ نَحْنُ الْخَالِقُونَ نَحْنُ قَدَّرْنَا بَيْنَكُمْ الْمَوْتَ وَنَحْنُ مَسْبُقِينَ على أن نبدل أمثالكم وننشئكم فيما لا تعلمون ولقد علمتم النشأة الأولى فلو تذكرون. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala referred everyone a human being, and you think about it frankly. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, have you noticed the semen that you will emit? You know, is it you who created it, or are we the creator? We have decreed this among you, and no one can prevent it from altering your form and bringing you into anew. Surely you know the first form of creation, why you do not then be mindful. Be mindful in the sense why you make it so difficult that we are going to be, Allah subhanahu will not create us again. So if you look to this, how, frankly, this is very amazing actually. If you think about it, we get people who are so tyrant, big and wealthy and think that they are, everything belongs to them and everybody enslaved to them. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, what are we created from, We created from a sperm. How would the sperm? All of us came from something like this. And then it's really amazing that what is this sperm? In a human, in a man, when he ejaculates, he releases how many sperms? 250 million sperms. And only one of them, you will be created from one of 250 million, sperm cells. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, what are you? You have control on this? Do you even pick one out of the 250 million? And then what is this sperm? It is 5 micrometer. It has this head and it has a tail. The head is five, oval shape, has 5 length of it is 5 micrometer. And then you have, and the 3 micrometer wise, micrometer is micros 1,000, of a millimeter, So, it's a very small things. And then the long and 3 millimeter wide, the length of it is what? 50 micrometer. That's what you created for. Just a micro, nothing you cannot even see. Because it said in the ejaculation, you get, 250 million. So whatever, it's one of these things. And then interesting part that the tail, that this contain all your genetic codes included in this. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say, you are created from this one. Do you think we are not going to be able to create you again? You become a dust. What is this? Even if you degrade your body at all, then there will be part of you at least, bigger than this remaining. Yeah. So it just brings, I think it brings people to, become humble a little bit. Because if you think of where you started from, it's something actually despised. Who of us wants to look at this? But that's where you came from. So then Allah subhanahu comes and make another oath. He said, فلا أقسم بمواقع النجوم وإنه لقسم لو تعلمون عظيم إنه لقرآن. Then Allah subhanahu have to come and say, okay, this message that you have in the Quran, it's that it has a divine origin, it's from me. And I am the one who did it, and I am the one who's preserving it too. So Allah said, فَلَا أُقْسِمُ. Then Allah make this oath. I swear, I make an oath with the position of the star. وَإِنَّهُ لَقَسَمٌ لَوْ تَعْلَمُونَ عَظِيمٌ. And this is, a great, indeed, a mighty oath. If you only know it, you know. And this is indeed a noble Quran. Talk about إِنَّهُ لَقُرْآنٌ كَرِيمٌ. This Quran that you have in your hand, في كتاب مكنون لا يمسه إلا المطهرون. And it is a book that's well guarded, and nobody can touch it except, the purified. تنزيل من رب العالمين, and the revelation, it's sent down by the Lord of all of the worlds. So in this case, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, this book, no one except the purified touch it. That means it cannot be corrupted. Now, this ayah sometimes get misinterpreted to say that you cannot read the Quran or hold the Quran unless you are in a case of you do wudu, in a state of wudu. The ayah actually doesn't talk about you and I. It talks about, it is fi kitabin maknoon. It's in a protected book, a well-guarded book that nobody can touch it. Nobody that purified angel can touch it, the source of it. So a shayateen cannot invent something from the Quran, cannot bring parts of the Quran to you. So the purification, so the, لا يمس المطهرون, who here in this verse talk about the angel, doesn't talk about you and I. Obviously, so if you are not in a case of, if you are not in a state of wudu, you can still hold the Quran and read it. Otherwise, it becomes a hardship for people reading the Quran. The only time is obviously when you have impure, after sexual intercourse or then you don't do that, but you still can read it. You can recite whatever you remember, so it's nothing like this. Now, why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, remember when we talk about this one, we're talking about something that was revealed 1400 years ago. Then Allah subhanahu make an oath with the stars. And Allah subhanahu with the position of the stars. And said, وَإِنَّهُ لَقَسَمٌ لَوْ تَعْلَمُونَ عَظِيمٌ. And it's a great, basically an oath if you just know it. What do we know? Because people have said, well, I can see the star. I can see here is the position of the star. But the part of it that whatever you see is not there. So the stars that you see have gone maybe 1,000 years ago. You seeing the position of the stars 1,000 or even million years ago. So when people come and say, oh, we see something, like 13 billion light year, that means this, whatever you saw was there 13 billion years ago. Not something, just there. And that is something that's very interesting. We don't know the location of anything. We don't actually. Because and I've made it so many times, like, people who see me now, you are not seeing me at the same time. Like Ahid here is seeing me, and then Imam Qasim sitting in the back, he did not see me yet. He saw me ahead of you. And he heard me ahead of you also, which is so we always live in the past. We never live in the present, actually. Because why? Because, and you see me before you heard my voice. Because we all know this, the speed of sound, the speed of light. And can you imagine if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us so sensitive to the speed that we can capture, everything so quickly that transfer to us at the speed of light? What happened? We'll all be crazy. Why? Because you will see, you cannot see a continuous picture. You see picture, 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 and it's like the movie, how they run the movie, they take it, frame by frame, but they run it fast, so it looks like continuous. So that's actually what we are. We are basically frame by frame, and you get it one another. And since the speed of sound it's lower than the speed of light, you see what I do ahead of when you hear what I say. So Allah subhanahu, so this is, people sometimes look at this qasam, but if people now who study and recognize it and see how many years, light years, things do exist, even the sun, we look at the sun and we look at the moon, whatever it's there, whatever we see is not there. And that's why you notice in sometime in Ramadan, you're getting like the Shia, break the fast later than this, because their argument is that when you actually, the moon didn't, the sun didn't go down yet, because as the earth, we move, so we are away from it, but it's still not completely down. So, but it's all, a fiqh opinion in this regard. You cannot reject what they say, and they cannot reject what we do. So then Allah subhanahu conclude the surah with this ayah. It says, okay, I showed you what are you created from nothing, basically. And now I show you that you even don't know anything. Even the things you see, you don't know about it. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say, but one thing which every one of you know is that you are going to die someday. Nobody will live, will fight this. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala end with this. فَلَوْلَا إِذَا بَلَغَتِ الْحُلْقُومِ. And when now, why you are helpless when the soul of, reaches the throat. But now you're reaching the time of this now. What are you going to do? Are you going to prevent it from yourself or for anybody else? While you are looking on, you see somebody dying, وَأَنْتُمْ حِينَئِذٍ تَنْظُرُونَ, and you're looking at the person. وَنَحْنُ أَقْرَبُ إِلَيْهِ مِنْكُمْ وَلَكِنْ لَا تُبْصِرُونَ. And we are closer to that dying person than you, but you do not see. فَلَوْلَا إِن كُنْتُمْ غَيْرَ مَدِينِينَ تَرْجِعُونَهَا إِن كُنْتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. Then if you claim you are not subject to our will, then bring the soul back if you are truthful. If you have any control of it. I'm looking for something here. Okay. I think I missed one slide. Oh, let me see. Good job. Let me see. I missed one thing. Okay, the last verse, I didn't have the last verse here, but the last verse in Surah Al-Waqiah is this one here. وَأَمَّا إِن كَانَ مِنَ الْمُكَذِّبِينَ الضَّالِّينَ فَنُزُلٌ مِّنْ حَمِيمٍ وَتَصْلِيَةُ جَحِيمٍ إِنَّ هَذَا لَهُ حَقُّ الْيَقِينِ. So I want to capture this one. So here is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comment this here. And if the one who is the deceased is one who is misguided and denying, then what is he will face? Then awaits him boiling water and burning hell. Indeed, this is an absolute certainty. It's continuation of the other. So here is, so I pointed out to something here in regarding the certainty. If you are certain of something, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala defined to us there is three kinds of certainties. There is, in this case, he said, haqqul yaqeen. He said, this is the absolute certainty that's going to happen. But there is other verses in the Quran, it talks about ilm al-yaqeen and ayn al-yaqeen. Knowledge, and this in Surah Al-Takasur. Al-Takasur ايه؟ ألهاكم التكاثر حتى زرتم المقابر كلا سوف تعلمون ثم كلا لو تعلمون علم اليقين لترون الجحيم ثم لترونها عين اليقين. So Allah subhanahu talk about this one. You are distracted by mutual competition among yourself for worldly gain, until you end up in your grave. People will keep competing in this life until they die and they get in the grave. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say, but not you will soon to come to know. Again, you will soon to come to know. Not only if you only know, based on knowledge, based certainty in ilm al-yaqeen. Because when you talk about our information about the day of judgment, about heaven and the hell, what is the basis for it? It's just knowledge. It's based on information that sit in the Quran, so we believe in it. So it is based really in information that's available to us. And this can be from a trustworthy source. So if I tell you something and you believe I'm truthful, you accept it as a certain. But do you certain, is it absolute certainty or knowledge-based certainty? Knowledge-based certainty. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say here, when you know, based on the information we provided you about what is going to happen in the day of judgment, particularly about hell, based on knowledge, ilm al-yaqeen, until you see it. Now, when you see it, is your certainty of it goes higher or lower? Obviously, it goes higher. And that becomes aynul yaqeen. So the second level. So do we want to know it with haqq al-yaqeen? Does anyone wants his certainty about the hellfire to reach to the level of the absolute certainty? You want it to be absolute certain about the hellfire? No one of us wants to be absolute certainty, because the only way to have absolute certainty is to be in it, And this is why, if you look here, Allah talk when He said that true, the absolute certainty about the hellfire are those people al-mukazzibin ad-dallin, or misguided denier, who will be in it. Now they will know that this is absolute certainty. But subhanallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us this, that, yes, although I'm giving you the information, but this is not the absolute certainty. It is absolute certainty is when you are self-involved in it, engaged in it in this regard. And this we can illustrate it like this. I can say, okay, if I come and tell you there is a helicopter landed in the parking lot, okay, and you trust me, you said, oh, helicopter landed in the parking lot, you trust it. That will be based on what? Based on the knowledge, information that you receive. But how about if now you open the window or the door and looked and saw actually a helicopter there? Your certainty of of that helicopter there will be higher, and that will be ayn, because you saw it. And that could be by the eye, or it could be by some tool, like we look to stars, people look at the end of the universe. Obviously, they haven't seen it with the eye, but with instrument, you can also say, yeah, the radius of that universe from where we are, it is like 50 billion light year. So, are you seeing something is 50 billion light year away? It's also with instrumentation. But if you go out now and open the door and sit in the pilot seat of the helicopter, now it is certain, the absolute certainty that this is, basically the helicopter there. So it is the same thing where it comes to many of the information that we have in actually about the hereafter or the unseen. We accepted based on this ilm al-yaqeen, based on the knowledge based. When we go back in the hereafter, then we'll achieve ayn al-yaqeen, when we see paradise, and we'll have absolute certainty about paradise when we are in it. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is the place we want to be sure we get that, absolute certainty when we are in this case. I just added something because I thought that the talk is a little bit shorter. And just something is a general statement. I said everything that we do always have two things, manifestation of it. An inward manifestation and then an outward manifestation. We know the outward. Like if somebody, does something good, what do you see? You only see the outward. Somebody gave a charity. You see what he did. That's the outward. But you never measure the inward. Who knows the inward? Allah and the person. Because the inward is what's your intention for doing this good? Is your intention show off or intention is sincerity? We judge based on the outward, but Allah subhanahu judge based on the inward and the outward, obviously, you know. But Allah focus in the inward because people do good, but what is their intention is. So whatever you do, so you judge people based on this, but you cannot declare that this person is a righteous person. You cannot make that absolute statement. And that's why the whole issue about people who follow certain people and said, oh, he's a wali of Allah, and I'm going to go and pray next to his grave and so on. I said, you cannot know it. Yes, you judge based on half. Judge based on what the person, yes, the person could be a person who prays, the person who's knowledgeable, the person who does everything good, and you consider him as righteous, but not, you cannot confirm it as absolute certainty that that person is righteous. Why? Because half of the information is not there for you. So people have to be careful when they follow somebody, you know. And the whole issue about, you know, people discuss, go to the grave and sit down and say because he is a wali from Allah. I said, how do you know? How do you know he's a wali from Allah? You know. So people have to be just careful. That doesn't mean you deny it. No, but you know, the absolute certainty you will never know it for about any person. So we have to, so our focus has to be focused on our internal because we are the one who knows it. You know, whatever you do something, are you doing it to look good or you doing it because you're really sincere to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this regard? So I wrote this, well, I create, not wrote, I produced this song about it. So let me see if you guys like it. Okay, you know, let me see. I said, okay, the heart holds whispers of light unseen. I think Imam Qasim liked it because he liked, right, you know, poetry and so on. Where faith is rooted, pure and serene. Intentions bloom where falsehood fades. Trusting Allah through trial and shades. Our deeds reflect what the hearts conceal. Through every action, the soul reveals. The stronger the inward, the clearer the way. As words and deeds is in worship stay, guard the heart, let action align, for both must shine in Allah's design. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك اللهم لنا فيما أعطيت وقنا واصرف عنا شر ما قضيت فإنك يا ربنا تقضي بالحق ولا يقضى عليك. اللهم ادخلنا برحمتك في عبادك الصالحين. اللهم اخرجنا من ظلمات الجهل والوهم إلى نور العلم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم اجعلنا ممن يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه. اللهم أوزعنا أن نشكر نعمتك التي أنعمت علينا وعلى والدينا وأن نعمل صالحا ترضاه. اللهم اصلح لنا في ذريتنا إن تبنا إليك وإننا من المسلمين. Oh Allah, spread your mercy upon us, shower us with your blessings, increase our knowledge, grant us forgiveness, and reward us with the company of the prophets in the Firdaus al-A'la. Oh Allah, forgive our parents and all our friends and relatives who have passed away. Oh Allah, make their graves a garden from heaven and grant them the Firdaus al-A'la. Oh Allah, we have many of our friends and relatives who are sick. We have our son Ma'raj, our daughter Aisha Wani, our brother Akram. Oh Allah, grant all of them full and speedy recovery. Oh Allah, guide our children, protect them and make them righteous. Oh Allah, grant us the power and ability that we may be grateful for the favor you have bestowed upon us and upon our parents, and that we may do righteous deeds that are pleasing to you. Oh Allah, we seek your refuge from all. Oh Allah, we seek from you all of the. Oh Allah, we seek from you all of the good, whether we know it or we don't, and we seek your refuge from all evil, whether we know it or we don't. Oh Allah, we seek refuge in you from incapacity, from laziness, from fear, from greed, from poverty, and from the torment of the graves. Oh Allah, we ask with every name you have elected for yourself, that none of us leave this gathering, but his pains have been relieved, his worries have been removed, his debts have been paid, his weaknesses have been concealed, his sins have been forgiven, and his needs have been fulfilled. سبحان الله وبحمده عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته سبحان الله وبحمده عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. سبحان الله وبحمده عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على خير المرسلين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.